So we're holding Be'ez Hashem. We're starting Siman Lamed Hey Vayoel Moshe, and he's in the middle of asking how were the Yidden Makabel the Shevuos. The Shevuos were given to the generation of Shlomo Melech. Even if we would say that he actually gathered the Jews together and made the Shevuos, it's not Chal on the future generations. And he wanted to answer that maybe the Neshamas were present in Har Sinai, and all the Nevuos of Tanakh were given in Har Sinai. And then he brought the Avnei Nezer's answer that says that it was on the Shoresh Neshama. And for the nations of the world, it was given for the Malach of each nation. So he says, "Uveikar hateret shekasav." In this answer that the Avnei Nezer answers, "Shekasav shahaisa shvu le'asarim u'l'shoresh nishpaseim shel Yisrael l'mala," that the oath was on the malach of each nation and on the root of the soul of each nation. L'chayra al pi halacha ein makom l'shvu kazu. Al pi halacha, such an oath can't really take effect. And as we just saw in the previous Siman, when I read the Avnei Nezer inside, the Avnei Nezer is not saying that it's a halachic oath. He's saying that it's chalam, it's in a way that only the neshama has the oath, not the goof. So it's cut off from it. So
the argument would be it's just the Gadata. The argument is going to be on this.
Right, but the Avnei Nezer is not saying it's just the Gadata. He's saying it's a real thing, but what is that real thing? It's not a vort that it's a halacha, that you have to keep the oath. It's a vort that you'll be cut off from your neshama. So I always tell people, you don't want that to happen to you, do you?
Right, but the argument will just...
You're going to say it's not halacha, but you don't want that to happen. Dihinei. So the Rebbe says, how do I know that this is not halacha? That you can't make a shvua on a nation through its malach, or on the Jews through their neshama. Dihinei balo akeda. The Sefer Akeda was written by Rabbi Yitzchak who lived in Spain in the 1400s.
During the Inquisition or after?
Before. He lived through the Inquisition also. He lived until 1494.
Oh, he died 2 years after it started.
So he left Spain.
Really?
1492. Went to live in Italy.
Already, probably.
Yeah, the end of his life. But basically, all his works he wrote when he was in Spain, and he was a Rosh Shiva and a Rav, and he wrote a sefer called Akedas Yitzchak.
What's his name again, Rabbi?
Rabbi Yitzchak Arama.
Yeah.
So the sefer Akedas Yitzchak. So the Hinei Bala Akeda b'Parshas Nitzavim. It's a pirush on the Torah, and he writes in Parshas Nitzavim Shar Tishim Tisha v'Tishim 99. Niskasha Mo'oid Gam b'Shvuos HaTorah. He asks even on the Shevuos of Matan Torah that the Gemara says Mushba v'Oim b'Har Sinai. She'omer Chazal b'Chol Makom she'Mushbaim v'Oimdim b'Har Sinai. That the Jews are Mushba, they have a Shvu already to keep the whole Torah. So the question is, V'Hevi Akasif b'Yechezkel Yud Ches. The Pasuk says in Yechezkel, Ma lochem atem moishlim es hamashal hazeh. That why do you make this mashal? Avos yoichlu boister v'shine abanim tik. The fathers ate unripe fruit, and the teeth of the children will be blunted. So the Yidden at the time of Yechezkel were saying that we've got time, we don't have to worry about the Churban, because you see by the Malach Yisrael that they sinned for hundreds of years, and finally something happened to their children. So here too, we could also sin for a long time, and our children will get punished for what we do, because that's the derech of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu punishes the children for the father's sins. So in the Hemshech there in Yechezkel, you see Hashem said back to them, no, ha-nefesh ha-choytes hi-samus, only the nefesh that sins will get punished. And his mishpat is exact according to whoever did whatever they did, and it doesn't go that the children get punished for the fathers. So therefore, keno, the same over. So v'ha'eich tachul shvua al bonim. So now, just like an oynish can't fall upon children, so how could a shvua fall upon children mikoyach kabbalah sa'avos? Just because the fathers were makabalit. It's basically the same question we asked in the last Siman. Shvua can't fall upon people who were not born yet. But the difference is, he's going to say he doesn't like the teretz that the Rebbe gave. He says, "V'loy hunach daitoi klal gam b'mashu amru chachamenu zal shekol ha'neshama sha'ad soif kol hadoros ha'yusham." That the Baal Akeda is not happy with this teretz that all the neshamas were present in Har Sinai. Yeah? Because the Torah falls upon the goof. So if the goof, and we just saw this in the Avnei Nezer, we read in the previous Siman, that the Avnei Nezer says that it's not enough to be mashpia the neshama on the Torah, because the Torah is chiyuv. If you don't do it, you get punished. You can't be chal on the neshama. Must be chal on the guf. Shahari mavur sha'atoyer v'mitzvah choyvus aguf heim. The guf avada be'efkeir nichlei. The guf would not want to be mishabed itself to something. The guf would rather be free. Uminadin ein chavin la'adam shaloi b'fanav. You can't impose a bad thing on a person when he's not present. The guf should have been there. The future generation guf of all the Yidden who are going to live should have actually been in Har Sinai, and they weren't. Only the neshama was. Ukvar amru, that the Gemara says, "Katan shenisgayer my bilin yoisay al das bezdin v'im higdil yachalim chais." There's a halacha that you could take a baby and toivel him in a mikveh, make him into a Yid al das bezdin, with even though his parents aren't involved in it, just the bezdin's involved, and then v'him higdil. Once he reaches 13, he could say, "No, I don't want to be a Yid," and he'll be oiker the whole conversion. Okay, because why? Because ein chavin la'adam ela b'fanav. Because you can't make someone
swear.
Not swear, but you can't make someone accept anything, even a present or something that he doesn't want, when he's not there. The kol shekain, and all the more so, kishaloi hayasham klal. That's only if there was a baby and he grew up. But let's say he wasn't even there at all, like by Matan Torah, the Yidden weren't even there. Ve'ein choyves ma'aseh hamitzvah nimsheches ela b'hiyoisei mechuber miguf b'nefesh. The neshama is what brings the chiyuv onto him, because the neshama was there. So the chayva, the obligation to keep this mitzvah only works because the neshama gets connected to the guf. But when the guf and the nefesh separate, he's not a person anymore. When a person is separated from his neshama, he's not alive anymore. And a mace is potter from mitzvahs. So the neshama itself is not chayav in mitzvahs. It's the guf that's chayav. So you can't say the neshama was the one that was accepting this oath of Matan Torah. That's the Balakei's kasha. V'herich bazeh, and he goes on at length. Ad sheba lidei maskana shebe'emes ein shvuah mamash. Comes out that this shvuah of Matan Torah is not really an oath.
What is it then?
It's just a very take a look. We're going to see it now.
Well, what sefer is this again?
The Akedah. Akedah Yitzchak. 1400, Spain. Ela Hizbir Ha'inyan b'mashal. He gives a mashal to explain how this oath takes effect. The Tamtzis Mishalai. In brief, what's his mashal? Le'echad shemachmes goyla ma'alasay niskanu boy v'sanu oisei sarim rabim. That there was a person who had a lot of success in life, and because he was so successful, people hated him. They were jealous of him. People hated him, who were, violent people. And he didn't find any rest. Running away from his enemies, he came to the courtyard of the king, to take protection, take refuge in the king's palace, like a refugee running, from one country to another. And they come and say, "I want refuge here in your country." The king promised him that you can come to my country, you can come to my courtyard, but you have to keep the following rules. Yeah, if you follow my rules, and I'll protect you from anything. And you'll continue to be successful. All the time that this person, this refugee, kept the laws of the king let him have success. But after a long time, when he decided not to keep the laws, and he separated himself from the king, he broke the covenant, he broke the agreement. Then the king didn't protect him, and then the enemies came and did whatever they wanted to him. Yeah, so it's not shot that he was mechuyev to keep the king's covenant. He didn't have to keep it, but if he wants the king's protection, he has to keep it. It's not the king who is punishing him for breaking the rules. The king didn't do anything. He just took away his protection from the person. And the bad things happened because the Soinim came. The enemies came.
They're going to hate you, except bottom line, because going away Klal Yisrael, just because they're jealous of them. And they'll hate them no matter what. So Yeshua needs Hashem's protection.
So Shechas Hashem V'chalam is a Kohen. The Sonim destroy everything. V'chein hu inyan b'Yisrael. So what's the nimshal of this? Jewish people, Shim Chas V'Shalom Mefirim Bris HaTorah. They have this agreement to keep the Torah, but it's not really a chiyuv. They don't have to keep the Torah, but if they keep it, good. Hashem will protect them. If not, Nistalik HaShmira, then the Shmir goes off. V'chas V'Shalom Nasa Masha Nasa Al Yidei HaSonim, and then the enemies will come and do what they want. The Herich Babir is that Tuva Kamadapim. It goes on for many pages about this.
Well, yeah, that's a nice perush.
Now, what does this remind you of? This pshat of the Baal Akedah. What does this sound like? It sounds like the Avnei Nezer, doesn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Avnei Nezer is saying that it's not really a chiyuv to keep the Shalosh Shevuos. It's just to cut off the person from his neshama, from Hashem. Except that the Avnei Nezer is saying on the Shalosh Shevuos. The Akedah is saying it on the whole Torah.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Zion might break, and the Zionists think that they break the Shevuos, they'll have more protection. When we see it's vice versa.
Right.
There will be less when you break the Shevuos.
Okay, that Uveshla HaKadosh Chelik Aleph Basar Maamaros Maamar Hasheni. The Shla HaKadosh, Rabbi Shai Horowitz, 1600s, right? So
1600s, I think, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was the time of the Maharal, I think.
So the Shla Daf Mem Gimel Mem Daled Hevi Harbe Mi'arichas Dvarav. He brings down this Baal Akedah, quotes it because of Achakach Tamtzis Kavanastai Shaloi Mikoich Shvua Amdu Adoris Mekayim Matoyer. So now it comes out that all generations, when Jews are keeping the Torah, it's not because of a shvua, it's just because to protect ourselves. That it's just because to keep alive. It's more dangerous than a shvua, because a shvua you just one aveir in the Torah. But here, if you don't keep the Torah, it's like Hashem takes away His whole providence, so it's much more dangerous. It's more than a shvua. That if the Yidden understand that if they were going to go out from under Hashem's hand, and under His shmira, that the nations would kill them all. Anyone who separates himself off from Hashem is like separating himself from life. Yes. So that's why the Jews kept the Shevuah. That's how the Shla understands this thing. Even the Shevuah of the Torah, the Avnei Nezer said it only on the Shalosh Shevuos, but he's saying even on the Torah Shevuah, doesn't affect us. Even
more than the Shevuah has.
But it's not a Shevuah, it's just something worse. So this is really what the Rebbe wants from this Baal Akedah, that he wants to show that sometimes something that's more powerful than a Shevuah is given the name Shevuah, even though it's not really a Shevuah. And he's going to use this to make his own. Okay, so V'im came Lefid Varav Zal Lashon Shevuah Sha'amru Eino Ela Derech Mashal. According to the Baal Akedah, the
Shevuah is allegorical,
right?
Not Shevuah Mamash.
He's hinting at the answer to his question. At the end of Lamed Gimel, he's asked if the Rambam says Lashon of Mashal. This is really what he's going to say, that the Shevuah is a Mashal. The Shevuah is just an allegorical word. It's a borrowed term, and really it means something more. But the Shla disagrees with the Kedes Yitzchak, and he says that his words are very sweet. The divrei pi chacham chen, and the words of the mouth of a wise man are beautiful. Omnam divrei v'seinu zal mevur shahaisa shvuah mamash. But we see in the words of Chazal that the shvuah of the Torah really was a shvuah. You can't just say that it was allegory. Why? Because he says, Moshe said to the Jews, it's not just your das that I'm taking into account, that you have, whatever you have in mind. Hashem's das and my das. By the way, so the Gemara speaks about it in the Dharm, Daf Chafei, speaks about that when you make a shvuah, you have to make it on the das. When someone's like mashpia somebody else, and he like in Bezdin or something, let's say the person has in mind, I don't owe any money to Reuven, and he means Reuven to somebody else, not the Reuven that we're in the Din Torah with. He could trick you. He could say the Shvuah, and he could mean something that's hidden from the people who are present. So that's why we say Al Das HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Dati, and Bezdin says Al Das Bezdin. We're making you swear according to what we understand your Shvuah to be, not according to what's in your mind. You can't make up some kind of funny pshat that it's some other Reuven or something else, and make that your oath. Yeah. So that's what Moshe said to the Yidden. I'm making you swear not just on what you're thinking. You're thinking whatever you're thinking, but I'm making you swear based on what I'm thinking, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was thinking. So you see, it was a real shvuah. It goes with the halachas of shvuah. Gam divrei Baal HaKeda loy muvanim. The words of the Baal HaKeda are not easy to understand here, because shalafi mashmos dvarav v'oinish al adoyers im einam roitzim l'kayim kishur ha'avos eino elam sha'Kadosh Baruch Hu misalik shvuas toimehem. That the Baal HaKeda is learning that the whole punishment for not keeping the Torah is just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes away his providence. So he takes away his protection. Why are there different punishments for different averos? Some get malchus, some get death, some get gehenim. And we're not talking only about bidei bezdin, we're talking about bidei shemayim. Why is it when Bisman is there, the Gemara says that Dal Mises loy batlu, but the din Dal Mises batlu, but din Dal Mises loy batlu. But even today, if a person does something that's chayav skila, Hashem will make him fall off the roof. Right? What's the shot? Why should a person get a separate oynish for a separate aver? It's all the same, right? The akol al pi Torah. All these onishim are described in the Torah. The al-korach sha'akishur harishin nishar b'takfoy. You have to say, no, it's not just taking off his protection. We are still connected. With all the general and the details, everything is connected. Ad soif kol adoyers. Yeah? So, Elamai, what's the oynish? The oynish is a real oynish. So, that's the Shlach Kodesh disagreeing with the Baal HaKeda. So, how could it be that the Baal HaKeda has a question? If you're going to say that it's a real oath, how could the shvur go down to the children? And he doesn't have enough, he's not happy with the answer that all the neshamas were there. That they were all there. That the goof wasn't there. The mitzvah was chal on the goof. So the Shloah says, what about that question? If I'm going to say that the oath goes down to all generations, I'm going to have to answer his question. So he answered, even it wasn't just the neshamas that were there. The central aspect of the body was also at Har Sinai. That's the Shloah.
How interesting.
I don't know how that happens, but it says it. He goes on at length to explain how that could happen. So Satmar Rebbe asks, he says that the Shloah asks on the Baal HaKeda question that we see that Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm being mashpia you on my das, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's das. That's his whole question on the Baal HaKeda. Really, you could ask a much stronger question. That the Baal HaKeda himself brings down the Gemara that says, Mushpa ve'oimim behar Sinai. That the Jews have a shvuah from Har Sinai, so if you make a shvuah against it, it's not chal on the other shvuah. He says, those Maamarim, shehevi HaKeda be'atzmoi, Masha Amru Chazal b'chol makom, shemushpoim ve'oimim behar Sinai, shehaloi amru bazeh, shemach miskein, ein shvuah chal al davar ister. Davar Oster, that if you make a shvuah to eat something that's Oster, or not to eat something that's Oster, it's not chal. She'ein shvuah chal al shvuah. One shvuah can't fall on another. So you see that it's a real shvuah. V'imkein gam b'zeh mevur shehi shvuah mamish. V'lo yiksha mizeh b'shlach kodesh. It's strange why the Shloah doesn't ask this question. El mimasha amar lahem Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom shemashpiyam al daitoi. He only asks from what Moshe Rabbeinu said, that he's mashpia them, he makes them take the oath with his mind in mind. Okay? V'ulai shamef shaloimar. It could be the reason why the Shloah didn't answer that is because it's possible to learn the af she'eino shvua mamish, even though the shvuos aren't real, they aren't real shvuos. El kivan sheyesh boy chomer ister shvua, since it has the same strength or more than a regular oath. Gam ken lo yichala oid shvua alav, so another oath can't fall upon it.
I see.
But what is his question? His question is from the fact that Moshe had to say, I'm being mashpia you on my das. But they have to know under what conditions they're accepting this shvua. If he wouldn't have made that shvua on his das, they would be able to answer up different answers. They'd say, we didn't keep it because of this and because of that. So that's what proves that it's a real oath. Because if it wasn't a real oath, it was something more chomer than an oath, then you wouldn't have to do this. What he's saying here is that the Shloh asks on the Balakeda.
What Shloh exactly asking?
The Shloh asks from Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm being mashpia you on my das and the Kodesh Baruch Hu's das.
To do what?
To keep the Torah.
Yeah.
And you can't come with terutzim and say, well, I was makabel not to eat this and that, and I had in mind something else. I have in mind what you have in mind.
Yes.
Whatever, right?
Yes.
So that proves that it's a real oath. It's not just a siluk of hashgacha. Because if it would just be a siluk of hashgacha, which is more chomer than an oath, then you wouldn't need to do that. You wouldn't need to say, I'm having in mind my rules. Like the mashal. Remember the mashal with the king?
Yeah.
If the king says, I'm protecting you if you keep my rules. Yeah. Obviously the king means the way he understands his rules. He doesn't mean the way you understand. If you come up with your own shekel and you do whatever you want with the king's rules, that's not an excuse, because the king doesn't have to protect you.
Yes.
He's only protecting you on condition that you follow his rules.
Yeah.
That's the void of the Balakeda. So he's saying, according to that, then why did Moshe have to say, I'm mashpia you on my das and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's das?
Yeah.
That's the kasha of the Shloh and Akeda. But he didn't ask the other kasha that the Rebbe said, that maybe you could ask that Mushba b'oyim mehar Sinai. That shows that it's a real shvur, because that one could say that even a not real shvur, even a shvur that's just a chomer thing, is also shaykh to say that another shvur can't be chal on top of it. Okay.